Why do we put pressure on ourselves to come up with something for the beginning of this show?
Yep. You know,
Because-
I just decided, hey, no glasses. With
That's
glasses.
it? That's your opening?
Because that's what we do in the show. We try to be professional for all of our viewers and listeners on the show, but also for our guests. But we fail miserably. So yeah, that's what we do at the start of every Dear Future Grandkids. Think of a fun opening. What can you do? And we end up with
And we fail.
just nothing.
Take your
much,
glasses
really.
off.
Yeah,
Just
take
like
my
glass
glasses.
of water. We're not sponsored, so if we were, like, this episode is brought to you by water. H2O hydrates you. It's good for your body. Thank you to our sponsors for this episode.
Thank you to our
That-
future sponsors.
That is so
Yeah.
typical of us. The only sponsor we could think of is water, right? That's like so typical.
Hey, we've got
Well-
our friends here.
Hey,
We got
Ian!
Bree.
Ian, I haven't seen you for ages.
And
What time is it in
Ian.
the UK, Ian?
Hello.
Well, it's
Kawaii
7 hours
Donna.
behind. 4 a.m.
And Kawaii Donna.
Oh my goodness, Ian stayed up. As Ansi, I hope you're pronouncing your name right. Hello.
Kawaii Donna, how's it going?
Bree. Hi,
I
Bree.
think
Hi,
it
guys.
was Ian's birthday like a few weeks ago. Happy birthday.
Oh,
Like,
happy
S.
birthday,
Nicholas. S. Nicholas.
S.
you
Nicholas, hey.
Man, all you guys are more on time than Jen was.
we-
Let me tell
yeah,
you.
I was completely honest. I logged in like 10:50. I was just disorganized as usual with work and kids and all of that. But anyway, that's my problem. Very sorry for that. But thank you all for tuning in. It's always fantastic to know that we've got a live audience and you guys have been amazing. So we'll do our very best to hopefully put a fun show for you to start your Saturday mornings, or for Jens, like really early in the morning.
4
on a
a.m. in the
Saturday.
morning.
Yeah, but if you're watching this for the first time, let me try to introduce the show to you. It's called Dear Future Grandkids. I'm Jen. I'm in Singapore. That's Ange. She's based in Hong Kong. And that's Percy in the Philippines. And through the magic of the internet and our friendship for 20 years, we come together. And this is us.
and whatever Jen took this morning, I want that too.
Yeah, Jen, what are you on? I've never seen you
What?
so awake and energetic.
Yoo-hoo, I'm
Energy.
excited. I missed last week's show and I felt like I really
Yeah.
missed out. And,
We miss you, Jen.
totally fear of
Oh.
missing out.
Oh,
Yeah, we
Bree,
missed
where are you? You said it's still Friday night for you. Are you in the States? Like, where are you, Bree? Let us know. Oh, and
Maybe.
S. Nicholas is congratulating Director Percy. How to
Percy.
pronounce that? Percy.
Direct.
For your,
Direct to
you
the
just
point.
had, direct and to the point. You just had your trailer for your brand new horror film out, didn't
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Please
saw
check it
that.
out. Live stream is on the trailer is on Twitter. Before somebody takes it down.
It is good. It is scary and it's good. Yeah.
Thank you to everybody who watched. And everybody that's watching now for the first time, let me introduce the show to you. This is Dear Future Grandkids, the show that asks an interesting guest the big question: what will you say and show your future grandkids?
This week, we're going to build a video time capsule for a podcaster, a writer, a host, and a producer from Chicago. After graduating from the University of Illinois in 2019. Yes, 2019. I have socks that are older than our guest.
Just don't.
I know, 2019.
Just don't.
Our guest worked as a campaign organizer for healthcare justice and equity during the COVID pandemic. She has a wonderful podcast called Model Minority Uniquely American that stems from her own experiences growing up as an Indian American in the US. Her goal is to share the microphone with other Asian, African, and Middle Eastern Americans. And by sharing stories together, she hopes to educate and inspire social change. Model Minority Uniquely American, her podcast, won gold for Best Narrative Podcast at the Asian Podcast Awards. She's an absolute delight. You're going to really enjoy this hour. Let's welcome Nidhi Shastri.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Hey.
Welcome, Nidhi. Welcome. I mean, based on just the introduction, really just what have you done with your life? Can you achieve more? I mean, such a slacker, really. Since
Really,
graduation,
so lazy.
since
Nidhi.
graduating from 2019, that's all you've done. Just won awards, created a podcast. I mean, really.
Well, thank you. What can I say? It's a hustle.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. No, but seriously, I mean, what drew you to the world of podcasting? Did you feel that you like needed a platform, you needed to just voice things out? And what drew you to it?
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of grew up watching YouTubers and watching people sort of take media into their own hands and create really, really cool things. Like my entire childhood was just YouTube or even just Facebook, seeing people make really cool things with very little, with just an old
Yeah.
camera or something. And so I always wanted to do something like that and become a creator. And I was really into like radio stuff. I worked at a radio station when I was in college. And so I figured what better way to do that than to have a podcast and do it the radio way.
Amazing.
Wow. Good for you. You did it, right? I mean, other people have interest, but you actually picked up a microphone
Yeah.
and did it, which is fantastic. And I was just saying to Nidhi earlier that, if you listen at Nidhi's wonderful podcast from episode 1
Yeah.
all the way up to now, you've really grown with Nidhi, because at the beginning, slightly nervous, not a great microphone, wasn't quite sure of the voice, what to say, but determined and really knew what she wanted to say for herself. And then as you've grown through the episodes, the audio quality's got better, it's all slicker. You've introduced other elements to it, like rolled in some media and stuff. So it's really wonderful listening to you and growing up with you as your podcast develops.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you have to suck at first in order to get better. And so that first episode was rough, like the editing on some of that. I listen back now and I can hear the parts where I could have done it a little bit better. And I'm like, it's okay. I've grown. I've learned. We're out here.
Absolutely. You just needed that first start, right? Because if you're always thinking about, I need to have the perfect content, production-wise, the production quality before I put it out, you never put it out because it'll never be perfect. You just need to get it out there first.
Exactly.
Nidhi, why this topic? Why model minority, uniquely American? I think you kind of have to explain that to us a bit.
Yeah, so model minority, uniquely American. So the title itself, model minority, it's this concept that exists in the US and probably in a few other places of Asians, and then it kind of expands out to African and Middle Eastern immigrants as well, that they're all like highly successful, they're all very, very wealthy, and they all like value education and value respect and things like that, which, if you just looked at it like that, it would be like, wow, what a great stereotype. Like, who wouldn't want that, but it's very, very different from my lived experience and the way I grew up. And so I identify as South Asian American. My family are parents from Gujarat, India. And so I grew up in a low income household. I grew up in a single parent household. I grew up outside Chicago, right near Chicago, where a bunch of other people who were Asian or African or Middle Eastern immigrants or first gen, they had similar stories. Like they weren't particularly wealthy. They weren't particularly successful the way we define success in the United States, or whatever the case. They weren't really good at math. I'm very bad at math. I just need to put that out there. I'm terrible. Don't ask me how to do percents, tips, discounts. I can't calculate that. I have an app on my phone. Use that. So I just really thought that this myth or this concept is just so different than my lived experience. And I got involved in activism when I was in college. I also worked at a radio station. And so I figured what better thing to do than to combine my radio work with the activism that I do. And so the reasoning behind Model Minority Uniquely American was to tell stories and share facts and data about the people in our communities who didn't quite make it, the people who don't necessarily fit the stereotype, and sort of pass the mic to them to tell their own story about whether it's about struggle or family or love or immigration or home. Like, I just wanted to create a platform where people felt like they could tell stories that weren't, we're super successful. Oh, here's Andrew Yang. He has a math pin on his blazer.
Yeah.
Like,
So So it's Asian myth busting, isn't
Yes.
it? Well, it's a great podcast, Nidhi,
Thank you.
and thank you for doing it. I think you're right. We should break
Yeah.
more stereotypes that are out there, especially when it comes to people, because we're all different, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Thank you
So
so much.
Nidhi, because you're different and because you're unique, we want to get to know you better. We have some quick fire questions for you. So first, describe yourself in 3 words.
Describe myself in 3 words. Okay. I would say, okay, I'm a pretty cynical person. That's probably not the most positive. That's probably not the most like exciting way to describe yourself. But I have to say I really identify with cynicism. Like I think you can kind of hear it in my podcast when I talk or when I'm talking about a particular topic. Like there's a little bit of an edge to me. I feel like that just never really goes away. But I embrace it. So I would say cynicism.
Mhm.
I would also say empathy. I try to be empathetic about everything. Like I try to relate to other people's experiences. I try to give a platform to people who have a background different than me. And so I strive to be empathetic. I'd like to hope that I'm empathetic as a person. And the
And the
last way I would
third.
describe myself is ridiculous. I think I'm a bit, I'm not going to lie. I think I'm a bit ridiculous. I just do things to do them. I just made my podcast to make it. And here it is, like, and I would say I'm a bit ridiculous in like opinions, how I act. But again, I embrace it. That's just who I am. So
Love it.
Love it.
Yeah.
So Nidhi, I mean, is this the job that you wanted as a kid? What job did you really want when you were a
Yeah.
kid?
Yeah.
okay, so I'm gonna be basic and say that when I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. Which everyone said that's like the number one answer. That's like the TV show answer.
Yeah.
But look, the Hubble telescope pictures, they just got me. I was like looking at those and I was like, wow, if I could go there. I was not good at math, so let's be honest, like that was not going to happen ever. But I did want to be an astronaut. And I actually have a funny memory. I think when I was in 3rd grade, I didn't know too much about professions. Like my parents are immigrants to the States, so like they kind of just worked in the jobs that they could get. And I wasn't too familiar with like what's out there, what all can you do. So I remember we had like a little situation where you like each kid would go up in front of the class and say like what they want to be when they grow up. And I remember thinking like, wow, I really love fixing things. Like I love like whenever something breaks in my house, I would go fix it. And I don't know if it's because I'm Gen Z and my mom just like was like, I'm not dealing with the wires, you do it. But I felt like a genius. So I remember I actually went up there and I said I wanted to be a mechanic. And my teacher got a kick out of that. She was like, a mechanic? She was laughing at me. I was like, oh, maybe I should have said, I didn't know like that was a bad thing, right? Like I guess like the better term would have been like
Yeah.
an engineer. Like I think
Right.
that was probably what they were hoping I would say. But like again, my knowledge was limited about like different things you can do out there. And so I think like it just kind of goes to show the way that my life experiences have shaped me into who I am and why I talk about the things I do. The way we view success in the United States is that if you're a mechanic, that's something that's laughable and it's not something seen as like, oh, what a great career. But if you look at like who is a mechanic in the United States, there's a lot of Indian people who are mechanics. There are a lot of Indian people in Canada who are mechanics. And some of them are immigrants, some of them aren't. And so I just think it goes to show like every single thing in my life has sort of led me up to speaking about the things that I do or wanting to create a platform for people to speak about that themselves.
I love that answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's really good. So with since your podcast, right, and I'm sure you've got lots of guests on the podcast as well. What's been the most memorable moment from just doing it?
Yeah, I would say the most memorable moment was probably that's a good question. There's a lot of memorable moments, but I would say
Yeah.
for me, so actually, unfortunately, here in the United States, there was like a rise in anti-Asian hate that came around like 2020, but also 2021 is really like early 2021 is really when it picked up. And there was actually a shooting that happened at a spa here. And And I think 5 Asian women were killed, if I'm not mistaken. It was at a spa. I think it was called Golden Spa. It was a very, very, very tragic event that happened here in the United States, and it really shook the Asian American community, but just all of America, I would say, as a whole. And so when that happened, I had already created my podcast. I already put it out there. So this wasn't like new to me, especially because I'm South Asian. And so it's something very familiar because so many of us have dealt with racism and attacks after 9/11 in the US. And that would be towards anybody who is South Asian, Muslim presenting, whatever that means. So I was very familiar with that concept. And I had actually created, like, as part of my social media, that's not my podcast, I create text posts. So on Instagram, I had a text post that was like about Asian American, anti-Asian racism in America. And it was basically like 4 or 5 slides talking about different reasons why Asian Americans are overlooked in the United States and why we don't usually get a platform, but also looking at why we think that racism doesn't exist against Asians, because that is a concept here. And another concept we have is that, like, East Asians in specific are in proximity to whiteness. So East Asians are basically white, or they have the same privileges as white people, which on my podcast I like vehemently disagree with. So basically in that text post, I sort of wrote it out in a short and sweet way, like reasons and factors that play into anti-Asian racism in the States and how we can do something about it. And that went really viral, more viral than I thought. It was shared thousands of times. People were messaging me saying, like, thank you for writing it. Yeah, it was just, I didn't really think that my words could have any impact. I knew they were out there. I was just saying things because I felt like I needed to. But it was crazy seeing an impact. And that text post actually ended up getting shared by National Geographic as well in their Instagram story. Wow. So I was just kind of like, you know, well, look at that. I'm just glad that I was able to get information out there for people who needed it at a time where people were really, really talking about this issue.
Yeah, it's because it's your personal experience, and also it resonates with people out there, and especially with what was going on then and now as well. So I think that's really, really important. And obviously you struck a chord, and people can really identify with that as well, because that's true, right? Because it's almost like stereotypical, and it's just that East Asians and South Asians, just like as long as you stay in your lane, and then everything will be fine, right? It's like you got your own place in society. No, that's really, really good. Now, what is something that you've achieved, but you think you didn't think you could?
Yeah. Everything.
Oh, Nidhi.
I think this is
say that.
I think this is cynical, you, huh?
Yeah, cynical Nidhi is coming out now. Coming out to play.
But we're telling you that's ridiculous, you too.
There you go.
You shouldn't be cynical.
Ridiculous.
You shouldn't be cynical.
Shouldn't be cynical. You're right. I would say, okay. The reason I say everything is because I feel like every single milestone I hit, whether it's winning an award for my podcast or coming on this show as a guest, or even just getting a corporate job, like, I remember when I got a corporate job, that was like a huge deal for me. I was like, wow, like, I didn't know I could do this. And I think part of the reason why that is because of how I grew up. I grew up in a low income household. I grew up in a single parent household, and I grew up around so many other people who just didn't believe that it was in the cards for us to have a voice in this society. And so I would say, like, I guess I can boil that down to say, like, something I've achieved is just finding my own voice. And I didn't know that I could do that. I didn't know I had a voice, or I could create my own platform that people would actually want to listen to, or people would actually want to tune into, or care about, or engage with. And so I'm just, I'm so grateful. Every time I do something small or big, I'm like, look at that. Nidhi Shastri out here, like doing things.
Oh, that's a wonderful answer. I mean, it's clear that it's the authenticity of what you do, right? You said you put a post up, you didn't overthink it, you just put it out there, and before you know it, National Geographic had posted it, right? And I think finding your voice is such a hard thing, and you're always second guessing sometimes, and you're always trying to copy someone else's voice, or so often you just try, you see all those quotes that are posted up on Instagram that someone else has quoted, and it's so hard to actually stand by what you say and what you believe, and it's paid off for you, and I hope it continues. I think
Thank
that's
you.
wonderful. That's really
Thank
great.
you.
All right, so let's go on with the quick fires. What do you spend too much money on, but you don't really regret?
I have to say video games. Oh my gosh. I just do not stop buying them. I have a right here, I have a gaming PC because I love video games. I'm really, really into video games. And I have Steam on there. And Steam is just, it's terrible. Like it's the best, but it's terrible because all you have to do is click a button and bam, you just bought a game. Doesn't matter if you're going to play it or not. It's just going in your library with the rest of them. And every time they put a Steam sale every like 2 weeks.
Oh, you're a sucker for the sale.
I
A
am.
sucker for the sale.
Every 2 weeks, I'm like, what a steal. Of course I'm gonna play that. Of course. And now I just have a library of like 60 plus games, have not played like more than half of them. But
What is your top game?
My top game? Oh, Witcher 3. I have like hundreds of hours logged on that game. It's my favorite game, and I'm obsessed with it.
Oh, wow. That's so funny. And what gadget or tool do you use in making content that's proven to be super useful that people wouldn't necessarily think of?
Yeah, I love sticky notes. I'm a stickler for sticky notes.
Do you have a system? So how do you use them? In what way?
I've just, like I said, I'm ridiculous. Like I'm so scatterbrained. So I'm like, I just have sticky notes on my desk, or I'll have like a notepad or something to jot stuff on. And anytime, like whether it's at the beginning of my day, I'll just grab one and start bulleting off like, okay, what do I have to do today? If I have an idea, I'll grab one and I'll just bullet out the idea on there. Now that I have an iPhone, I can go to the notes app on here and do kind of the same, but it doesn't hit the exact same way. Like I feel like writing it on paper, just something about that, it sticks better with me. So yeah, in college, everything I owned was covered with sticky notes. Now I'm a little bit more tame. I'm like, okay, one sticky note per area, please, Nidhi. But I still use them.
Nidhi, you're talking to Ange, the queen of sticky notes, and me, the king of sticky notes.
Yeah,
really?
So Percy in his office, he has a whole like whiteboard. It's covered in whiteboards, and you can't see the whiteboard for all the sticky notes that Percy. And of course, he'd call it writers' brainstorming and writers' workshops, and that's what he'd call it. But it's sticky note central in Percy's office. It's too funny.
No, that's incredible. I love that for you. I love that for all of us. We are sticky note crew.
We need more sticky notes. Life
is better with a sticky note in it, I'm telling you.
Yes.
So Nidhi, what would you do if you had 10 more hours in a week? Because you sound like a very busy person.
Oh, if I had 10 more hours in a week, I feel like I waste a lot of time. So I can't help but think I would just spend that on TikTok. But if I could choose...
Research.
It's so easy to waste 10 hours a week on TikTok.
Oh, I know. I do it way too often. But if I guess like if I could actually pick what I wanted to do with that time, I would write. I feel like I love writing, but I just never write. I would make it 50-50. I'd read and write, because in order to be a good writer, you have to be a reader. So I have so many. Same thing with video games. I do with books. I just keep buying them, and then I don't necessarily read through them. So extra 10 hours would give me a lot of time to just get through all these books I've bought, and then also just write some stuff out for myself.
On sticky notes.
On sticky notes.
On
sticky note
there
novel. I'm going to publish it.
That's a great idea. Publishing like stories on sticky notes.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Actually, yeah.
You heard it here. And
You heard it here.
when Nidhi does it, you know where it started.
Exactly.
Pick up my royalty check.
Yeah, there you go. Nidhi, the viewers are all saying hi to you. S. Nicolas, Ian Pennick. Ian Pennick says he will check out your podcast.
Oh,
Good that you break stereotypes. I will look your channel up.
Thank you, guys.
Go. All right. Nidhi, now we get to some of the fun stuff. Can you fetch 2 treasures, either from your work or career, and show it to us?
I can. And in fact, I don't have to fetch them because they're right here. Because I
there you go.
planned this.
Ever the professional.
Ever the professional.
It's what I prepared earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so I will show you first my award.
Oh,
So here
Yay!
it is in the flesh or in the crystal,
Lovely.
I guess. This is actually a different award than the one you all saw earlier from the Asian Podcast Awards. This one was from the Asian American Podcasters Association. So thank you, Lee, and everybody there for giving me this. It was for general excellence in reporting for my podcast. And I actually won this during the pandemic in 2020, which is crazy. I can't believe it's been like 2 years since then. But yeah, I won this during the pandemic, so they mailed it to me. They didn't have we couldn't have like a in-person one, but got it in the mail. And it's crazy to me that it's physical. I feel like everything I do is digital. That I'm like, wow, like this
real
proves
object.
it exists.
Yeah.
It's pretty heavy too. I'm not gonna lie. Like I can feel that it exists. So that is my first item. And my second, I should mention,
Congratulations.
thank you. The episode that I submitted to win this award was called In Sickness and in Wealth. And it starts out talking about anti-Asian racism during COVID-19. And then it continues to talk about how Asian Americans are like specifically disadvantaged when it comes to the US healthcare system because it's a for-profit system and because it's like, hospitals and not necessarily healthcare providers, but hospitals and pharmaceutical industries and stuff like that. They make a lot of money off of our healthcare system. So unlike the UK and a lot of other places, we don't have universal healthcare. It's a pay for profit system. So that is the episode I submitted. And that is the episode that got me this baby. So
beautiful.
yeah.
Wow.
Thank you. And the second thing that I have is actually kind of two things. So this is a Buddha, wooden Buddha statue that my dad brought over to the United States when he immigrated in the 80s, I think. And then he
Wow.
came back in the 90s. And he brought this with him from India. And it's been in my house for my entire life. Like it's always been there and I've always seen it. I was like, oh, that's pretty. And when I went to India myself in 2019 with my family, I got myself one.
Hey.
Yeah, because I really wanted
Wow.
one. It reminds me of my dad. It
Yeah.
reminds me of his and being at my house. And so I've moved out a couple times now since living at home, and I continue to move a lot. So this reminds me of home, reminds me of my parents, and it reminds me of spirituality. And that's why I like to keep it around.
Beautiful.
That's lovely. That's
Thank
lovely.
you.
So if you ever want kids later on, it could be something that you pass on as well, and something could be a family tradition thingy.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
trendsetters out here. I mean, I might tell them to go get their own though.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
As
the
in-
tradition. That's the
That's,
tradition.
Yes.
that's a tradition. Everyone should have a Buddha statue there. But yeah, go get your own.
Yeah, go get your own.
Yeah, go get your own. Go earn it. Now, Nidhi, we know just from talking to you today, and and our chats earlier as well, we know you're the consummate professional. Your setup's amazing. We're not going to talk about hours, but we just want to know it's all professionally done. You got your gaming station, microphones all set up. I know that it's all there. But do you have like a corner of shame that you can show to us? I'm sure there must be one corner that's really untidy, like laundry's been stuck there for a week, or I don't know, a dead cat or something like that. There must be.
So that's a great question. I like to keep my space very clean because when my space gets messy, my brain gets messy. But one thing I do have is a bag of shame. And this is a bag that I carry everywhere with me. I'm notorious for taking too much stuff everywhere. Everyone I know, I come in clutch. When somebody needs something, I got them. But until then, I'm lugging around a bag with way too much stuff in it. So first I'll show you the
Okay.
bag because I'm a
let's see it.
fashion
Yes.
person. I like
Yes,
to
yes,
have
yes,
an
yes.
outfit everywhere I go. So here's
Okay.
my bag. It's actually from the British Museum.
Oh, in the UK.
Oh,
Yes, in the
oh,
UK.
So
And,
for the podcast now, so it's a tote bag
Yes.
from the British Museum. Okay.
Yeah, somebody needs to ban tote bags from my house because
I know
put
what you
too
mean.
much stuff in it. I just need a regular small purse and just don't allow me to have anything else. But since we're here, we have this one. I went to the UK a month ago actually for my 25th birthday, and I thought this was cute, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna get it.
It's
Even
very
though
cute.
even though it's like the British Museum where all the colonizer stuff is,
Yeah.
it's
pretty.
Mm.
It's how we enriched ourselves, taking
Yeah.
everywhere we've been, and let us show you artifacts that we collected illegally.
Exactly. And then I gave them more money. My ancestors would be rolling. It's okay.
No, what you mean.
So let's see what's in here because I got so much stuff. Okay, I have a receipt from Kung Fu Tea. I put too many receipts in my bag. So Kung Fu Tea is a very popular bubble tea chain here in the US.
Because that will be useful when your friend needs a gadget and you need to pull it out of your tote bag. You'll go, a receipt for Kung Fu Tea?
Yes. Or for a chewing gum to just chuck it away.
Oh,
There you go.
See?
There you go.
There you go. Now we're thinking. This is a mask that my mom made. My mom,
beautiful.
very crafty. So I think this was like when we get pants, we're short people. So when we get pants, we always have to cut them. My mom cuts the bottom and sews them up because they're way too long for us. And then she'll use the extra material for things. So she's given me this mask. I actually didn't mean to put this in my bag, but she insisted. So if anybody needs a mask,
Nice.
I got one.
Nice.
I actually think I got two. I bet I have another mask in here. Let's see. This is a test of time.
Or 4.
Oh,
I got
there you
it.
go.
Oh, well, there you
Yeah.
go.
Of
Disposable
Two
mask.
people,
Yeah.
2 people.
Of course.
More receipts. This one's from Sephora. This isn't useful. This is just trash that I need to clean.
No kidding, Nidhi. No kidding.
Maybe for your taxes. Yeah.
I have Altoids because I take some form of mints everywhere I go. So Altoids, my dad actually really loved Altoids. My mom too. I don't know. It's an immigrant thing. Immigrants are really into Altoids. So I got myself some. Carrying on the legacy, immigrant culture.
Hey, Kawai Donna's asking, I wonder what skincare is inside the tote bag. Nidhi is so pretty.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, quite
You know
done.
what's
That's
so
cute.
funny is this receipt. No, the receipt I threw on the ground. That one's from Sephora. So Sephora is like our
Yeah.
makeup store and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, I spend a lot of money on skincare. I buy I just got Benefit brand lotion.
Oh,
if
yeah,
anybody's
yeah.
interested, I think it's a great product. Definitely buy it. I have this is a lanyard. I went to University of Illinois here in Illinois, obviously. It was in Urbana-Champaign. And so I actually bought this after I graduated because I felt, I didn't have an ounce of school spirit when I was there. But as soon as I left, I was like, I need everything. So
It's always the case. That's at the end of
You
it.
graduated in 2019. Why do you still have the lanyard sitting in your tote bag?
well, I use it to hold my pepper spray.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's
Oh.
handy.
So this is the next thing. I have pepper spray because I live in the city of Chicago and you need to have pepper spray. So got that.
Oh my goodness.
I have this
That's
little
huge, yeah.
bag that I bought from the International Crane Foundation, which is in Wisconsin. It's right up like about 2 hours north of where I live. And these are like endangered cranes that they actually have there. And it's one of the only sites that like can legally house cranes because cranes are migratory birds. I studied environmental science, so I'm like really into this, but I don't know if anyone's actually interested, but yeah, the cranes
are.
there are endangered. And so I bought this little pouch and this is actually what I keep my AirPods in, but I lost my AirPods because I don't know how I lost them, but I just lost them. So
Yeah.
this is now, instead it has sunglasses because I try to carry sunglasses everywhere. One of my favorite shades.
Cool.
Hey,
Cool. You look rock star.
Thank you.
Rockstar, yeah.
So that's in there. Let's see what else do I
How
got.
big is this tote? It goes on forever. It's
It
Goes
bottomless
on
tote.
forever.
There's
I
a
think the
black hole
question
in
is
there.
not what's in the bags. Now, what don't you have in the
Yeah,
bag?
exactly. It's easier for you to go through all the items that aren't in your tote bag, Nidhi.
Wait, hold on.
Probably.
Are those your bunch of keys?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I carry too many keys around too. So actually, I'm borrowing my cousin's car right now. So these are
Okay.
his keys, not mine.
Yeah.
But then I have my house keys. So this is like a little
Keys.
like evil eye.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And then this was like Chicago keychains. It has like, I don't know, Chicago.
Yeah.
Not that I need that because I live here, but why not,
Just-
right?
Just to remind yourself.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
You
So
must
you
get
got-
so much arm exercise just, bringing up your car keys and just
I do.
opening the car.
I do.
As
Believe me.
someone, I'm a wannabe minimalist. That just stresses me out. Looking at your keychain completely stresses me out right now.
I've gotten that so
I don't
many
like
times.
it,
from people.
Nidhi. It's too much for me.
I know. I don't blame you. I agree, but it's how I live. This is a pen. My mom always taught me don't go anywhere without a pen.
Yes.
So I have a pen.
Completely agree.
Melatonin because I'm a terrible sleeper. I'm awful. definitely an insomniac. So I take this everywhere in case I have to stay overnight somewhere, and then I'll just take a melatonin.
You got a
Takes
drugstore
melatonin.
there.
Who takes melatonin everywhere?
Yes, everywhere.
Just
Gotta
in
be
case.
prepared.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Yes.
You never
The
know when you need to
emergency
sleep. Yep.
Somewhere.
You,
Yeah.
Yep. You need to sleep.
You gotta sleep. And
Yeah.
then this is second to last thing that I have in here. This is like a pouch that I carry everywhere just to carry miscellaneous stuff. So I have 2 different lipsticks in here. I have this one, and then I have lip balm. I have some lotion in here in case anybody's ashy and needs lotion.
The emergency,
Lip balm,
emergency dry
lipstick,
skin.
lotion. It's
I have-
like a mini.
Alka-Seltzer Plus. I have alcohol prep pads. I got hair ties. I got what else I got?
It's a
I got some
pharmacy and
pads.
Sephora in there.
Yes.
This is like a mechanic. I mean, this is like a mechanic's toolkit, except
Yes.
That is what I
without
wanted to be
the
when
tools.
I grew up.
Well, yeah, without the toolbox, but everything's there. Yeah.
I want to take a guess what the last item is.
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna guess what it is?
No,
It's a
I'm
new
actually-
car.
Oh,
It's a
if only I
receipt.
could fit that. If only
It's sticky notes. It's a sticky note.
It's a sticky note.
I have my vaccination card, and I have this. I don't even know what this is. I don't know
What? A
why I
sticker?
have it,
It's a
but I
sticker.
have. It's a sticker. It's in there. And then the last thing that I have is probably the only thing I actually need when I'm going anywhere, which is my wallet.
Okay, yeah.
Really,
that would
all
be
I
handy.
needed.
You
But
can't pay with receipts.
I'm just afraid to ask what's in the wallet, so I probably won't because it'll be another 20 minutes of what's in the wallet.
it's too much. I have like coupons. I have like cards from stores, like the rewards cards. So
Yeah. So sorry about that. You know, it's definitely live when my buzzer goes on, so we apologize for
Who's
that.
come to visit you, Jen? Who's come to visit you?
Sephora's come to take things off Nidhi's back. Can we have that back, please? Can we have that back, please?
anything but the Altoids.
Yeah. you can keep the Altoids.
Thank you.
Nidhi, well, thank you very much. We now know that you are really neat and tidy at home. That there's no corner of shame, but you just lug along a bag of shame with you. Some people say it's a useful bag, but thank you for sharing. Anytime I know that I need Altoids, I know who to look for.
Exactly. I'm your girl.
Definitely. Now we're just gonna pivot a bit, and now let's find out more about you and your family. So, like, what was your childhood like, and what were you like as a kid?
Yeah, that's a good big question. Let me think. My childhood. So I'll tell you a little bit about how I grew up. I grew up with my mom. Oh, actually, perfect. We have pictures. So
Yes.
this is actually a picture of our family friends. So one of the biggest parts of my childhood is the fact that my parents were immigrants or / are immigrants, and immigrants stick together. So this is a picture of Georgie uncle on the far left with the Snoopy shirt. That's my uncle. We're not blood related, but he's like an uncle to me. And that's his mom next to him and his dad next to him holding me as a baby. And
That's you.
Yes, that's me. And then my sister is right there in the pink shirt. And so I put this picture because it just reminds me of like basically growing up, my uncles and aunts were of various different races. Like so many of them were East Asian or Southeast Asian or Latino or African American. And those are just the people that my parents became friends with when they moved here. And then when I was younger, I got to grow up with those people as my aunts and uncles. And so Georgie uncle is someone who's really, really special to me, as is his family. One of the stories my mom likes to tell is how she would sit in the kitchen and make rotis, and Georgie uncle's mom would sit in the kitchen and make tortillas, and they'd make it together because it was basically the same process. And they would spend hours doing that together. And so that's kind of the backstory for that picture.
Oh, that's lovely.
Nice.
And I heard in an interview somewhere, Nidhi, that you said storytelling was a big part of your childhood, which is probably why you're a storyteller now.
Yes, I really love stories, whether it's folk tales or other things. And so storytelling is super important to me. And it's something like my mom would always tell us folk tales, or she'd tell us about like her childhood and things. And so that's why I am the way I am, I guess.
So you mean that your mom used to sit you down? Did your mom sort of sit you down and say, hey, this is an ancient folk tale that I want to tell you about? Or she was just doing the washing up, doing the laundry, and she was just telling these stories sort of ad hoc?
Yeah, it was more like during dinner or during like random moments. Like there was a story that she had like 2 different stories she'd tell us during dinner. One of them was one that she kind of made up on her own, which she told me like a year ago. She was like, oh yeah, I kind of made that one up, but it's based on a folk story. She said it's basically a folk story, but she just switched it up a little bit to be more relevant to our lives. I was like, okay, you know what? I can't argue with that. But that was about 3 kittens and the mommy kitten, and it was basically like they were in a jungle, and the mommy kitten was like, don't open the door for anybody when I go to work, because there's a big Sher Khan, like a big tiger out there that will eat you. And so she tells her kids, like, don't open it. And then one of the kids, of course, opens the door. And then the tiger eats 2 of the children. I'm like, this is a very, like, this is terrifying. Why were you telling us that when we were kids? And,
What's the lesson there?
What is the lesson there?
Oh, and she said in Gujarati, too. So it wasn't even in, like, some of the words we weren't even catching. But basically, like, I think in the end of the story, the mom goes back to the tiger and is like, spit out my children, and then the tiger like throws up the children, or I don't know, something happened. They like tricked the tiger. The lesson my mom later told me was, because my mom would always go out to work and we were 3 kids alone. We weren't alone in the house. We had my grandparents. But the moral of the story was, don't open the door for anybody. That's what she was trying to teach us. But I was like, Mom, that is a very horrific way to teach your children to not open the door. There are so many ways you could have done that.
But did it work? Nidhi, did it work? Were you terrified of opening the door?
Did you think a Sher Khan was out there about to eat you?
I would have been terrified.
I wasn't scared to open the door. I just knew better. I think my mom had little faith in like our akal is the word in Gujarati, our like sense. But we were pretty sensible kids. We were like, okay, yeah, like we probably shouldn't open the door for like a random person. So in a way it did work, but I think she could have gave us that lesson without the story. But hey, we're Indian. We tell stories and that's how we learn things. So that's what she did. And then there was another classic story she told us about like this particular beans that she would make. And I don't remember the story exactly. She retold it to me like a few weeks ago when I was like talking to her about it. But it's completely in Gujarati, right? So I'm like, if I ever were to share this, it would be hard to share because it's not in English and it doesn't translate exactly well. But yeah, like there's just stuff like that. Like a certain food is associated with a certain myth, or a certain religious holiday or action we do is associated with a certain myth. And so slowly through my childhood, that's how I learned folktales or learned about my religion, was I would ask questions like, why are we doing this? What's the point of this? And my mom would say, oh, this is the story behind it.
Wow.
Your mom sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah.
These are the lessons that you learned from your mom's stories. But for yourself, now looking back, are there any life lessons that you learned from your family?
Life lessons from my family. That's a good one. I think for me, it's to not do what you think you're supposed to do, but to do what you want to do. And I think I would say I learned that from my older sister. But I also learned that from my mom.
Your older sister's a journalist, right?
She is a journalist.
She's a storyteller too.
As well, yeah.
We're a family of storytellers. Yeah, she's a journalist up in Milwaukee. She works at the Journal Sentinel, which is like their Chicago Tribune. That's what I say. That probably pisses her off. But basically like she kind of paved her own way. And again, like she grew up like me in the same family environment as I did. And so she didn't go the traditional route of like doctor, lawyer, engineer. She went, I want to tell stories. I want to write about very important things. And she writes about things like women's rights and race and religious tensions. She writes about those things on a like publishing platform, on multiple publishing platforms. And she works in Wisconsin, which is, it's a red state, and it can be very conservative and very like not very open to immigrants or talking about race and things like that. And so she puts herself on the line while doing that. But, it's what she wants to do. It's what she's good at. And she chose to do that. And so I really look up to her in that sense because, I'm a big believer in like, I hate this pedestal, this constraining pedestal that our immigrant groups have been put on. Like, you must be good at math. Like, you have to. Otherwise, you're not Asian. Like, what is that? Like, I really believe in doing whatever you feel you can do. You can offer the world. Not all of us have to fit into like a certain box. We can be imperfect. We can get bad grades. We can do jobs and not be good at them and then find new things to do. We can be creative. So something I've learned from my family is just not to like go with what people say, instead do what speaks to you.
That's a
Fantastic.
beautiful lesson to
Fantastically
learn.
said. Follow your own star.
Yes.
Couldn't have put it better. Now, Nidhi, it's time in the show where we want to check if you've got your phone nearby. I'm sure you're well organized. I'm sure your phone's right there. Perfect. So now we would like you to leave a voice message. Okay, a voice message. We'd like to eavesdrop for someone special in your life. You can choose anyone. It doesn't have to be, what we call a stereotypical choice would be like your mom or your sister or something, but someone special in your life, maybe someone that you haven't been in touch with for a while, but it's just, always the back of your mind, and this person meant or still means a lot to you. Yeah? You've got it figured out? Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. The only potential issue with this is, so I'll tell you who. I'm going to send a voice note to one of my high school teachers. She was actually never my teacher, but she was my speech coach. So I did speech, and it wasn't debate. We did like speech and forensics in high school, and she was my coach there. And I haven't talked to her in a long time, but she was so influential to like who I am today.
Yeah.
So, but she is a bit older, and I don't know if one, she'll know how to use the voice note, and two, I feel like she'll know how to use the voice note, but two, I don't know if it'll send. I don't know if she has an Android or like what kind of phone she's rocking these days.
So, don't know.
Have a go.
Yeah, we
whether
can
she has it
on
on WhatsApp or a message. Let's try. Let's
okay, let's give it a go.
Yeah.
Let me think of what I'm gonna say. Hold on.
Oh, this is great.
She is your speech coach. So it means a lot. You need to have a well-organized message, Nidhi.
Yes, articulate, enunciate. That's what she's taught me.
Structure as well.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Hi, KP. This is Nidhi. I just wanted to drop you a little voice note because I know it's been a minute since we were last able to talk, but I hope you're doing well. I just want to thank you so much for all the support and guidance you've given me. It's really helped me get to where I am today. It's kind of crazy to think that I went from being radio speaking in high school to now doing podcasting as a profession, but it's all in part thanks to you, and I love you so much. So hope to talk soon, KP, and take care.
Yes.
There it goes.
She's going to listen to this and go,
yes.
She's gonna tear up. She's gonna go, what?
Yeah.
I hope so.
I guarantee that. Yeah.
I don't want her to cry, but I hope she feels happy.
I'm sure she will. I'm sure she will feel very happy. I would be very proud if I was in her position, after being your speech coach, and now you're doing this for a living. That's amazing.
Yeah, you've made her. I hope she can hear it. I hope she can pick it up. But you've made her month. I mean, she will be up on cloud 9 absolutely after hearing that.
Yeah.
It's just so wonderful.
Thank you.
Because I mean, ultimately, that's what everybody wants to be able to do, right? Is to help somebody else, make a difference in the world that you are. Look at that.
Thank you.
I think that's just one of the most genuine and nicest messages on our show so far. We've done 5 seasons of that. And it's really nice that you remember someone that was so important to you, but in your formative years, and you haven't been in touch. So I think that makes it extra special. Do you know what I mean? That if I was to receive any message like that from someone that, I just maybe didn't think about, that would be so, so special. That'd be nice. But then again, I'm not special, so I'll never get this message. Ever. So it's just, I live
get
like
abuse. You just get, hey, Jen, buy milk.
That's oi. Dad,
late
oi.
for the show, Jen. You're late for the show.
Yeah. Why are you late picking me up? What's this and that? So nothing. Just...
Nidhi, you just met the other cynical person. In
okay.
Some say cynical, but others would say just really truthful. Unfortunately, just my life. But Nidhi, thank you so much. We're so honored that you've joined us to create this time capsule for your future grandkids. It's something they can watch back and learn more about you when you were at this very young age of 25, and you achieved so much as well. So as we close out the show, as we close the time capsule, you get to leave a message. Now, what do you want to say to your future grandkids?
Big question out here at the age of 25. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay. Dear future grandkids, my advice to you is that you need not do anything but exist and advocate for your people. Those are the two things, because we're on a giant spinning rock and there's a lot out here that stresses all of us out. We feel like we have to do the most. We feel like we have to be successful. But honestly, you're living, and that's the gift in and of itself. So you need not do anything. Don't feel pressured to do anything. Then just exist and be happy.
Oh, spoken like an astronaut that's on the Hubble telescope, that's looking at this tiny, tiny round thing called
spinning
planet
rock.
Earth, looking at these microscopic pieces of protein called humans, and just saying, "Don't worry about it. You're just on a spinning rock." I love that advice.
Love that.
Perspective, guys. Perspective.
Thank you.
Love that.
Well, thank you, Nidhi, for being on the show today. Before we go, do you have anything you want to promote on your podcast? What's up next on your podcast?
Yes. So I haven't published an episode in a while, but I'm planning to. So definitely check out Model Minority Uniquely American. I'm on Facebook. I'm on like any streaming platform. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, JioSaavn if you're in India. So I'm all out there. And then the other thing I wanted to promote is I actually made a TikTok. I spent so much time on TikTok that I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a TikTok. So if anybody's interested in watching my shenanigans on TikTok, my account name is Nidhi. So my first name with an S. So Nidhi's_world. It's the same as my Twitter. Yes, Nidhi's World. And there's an underscore between those two. And so my goal is kind of like to do something similar as I do with my podcast, like create some type of high quality videos, shorts that talk about a certain marginalized group or some historical moment that we don't really know about, and then just sort of create a platform for that. So that'll be the goal. I don't have any videos yet. So if you follow me and you don't see anything, just hold on.
It's coming. It's coming.
Hopefully our viewers can give you accountability, Nidhi.
Yes, please.
Yes, send lots of accountability to Nidhi
Please.
Shastri and Nidhi's World.
Follow Nidhi so she can post something.
Yes.
So that's
you've got
Nidhi's
viewers.
_world.
Yeah, you've got viewers. Kawaii Donna already says, we'll check out your TikTok and your podcast. Ian says, be happy existing on this rock. Love you, Nidhi. We have Bree who's from Caribbean, who says sometimes existing is enough. That's such great advice. We feel that you need to replace your tote bag and put sometimes existing is enough on a brand new tote bag and carry that around with you.
Yeah.
Maybe on a purse. We don't need any more tote bags. Maybe on a small purse.
Or maybe that could be your sticker, your random sticker that's there in your bag. Yeah?
I got to make this happen. I'll send you all one when I make
all
it.
want one. We all want
stick
one.
it everywhere.
That's merchandise from the podcast, and actually make a rock as well. A rock with a message. Exactly.
There
Here
you
we
go.
go.
Thank you, and thank you always to our viewers. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your love, and thank you for your encouragement, and thank you for all your little bits of wisdom and your little contributions. We read them all. We really appreciate your contributions, and always remember, if you can't change the past, you can create your future.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for watching Dear Future Grandkids. Like always, I'm Jien, that's Perci, that's Ange. And once again, thank you to our amazing guest, Nidhi Shastri. Now, we know that her podcast is called Model Minority Uniquely American. She just said as well, follow on TikTok. I think it's Nidhi's _world, correct? So I'm going to check that out as well. And thank you so much. Nidhi, thank you so much. You're just fantastic. Take care. And see you all next time on Dear Future Grandkids. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.